Welcome, everybody. I will call the meeting to order. This is the meeting number 119, October 2nd, 2024.
Steve, we're not live yet.
Oh.
It says we are, but we're still loading. Just 1 second.
Jesus, I got bad Wi-Fi. Where are you?
Oh, you got to start that speech all over.
Nope.
I hate Zoom meetings.
Me too.
Yeah.
But we could have been out in George's Brook, Milton.
All right. Can you guys hear anything in the background besides me?
Oh.
Can you guys hear me now? Can you guys hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
And there's no noise in the background? Okay, good. All right, Steve, we are now live and we're good to go. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Holly. Some technical difficulties on Holly's end.
My apologies.
So I will call the meeting to order. Meeting number 119, October 2nd, 2024. Motion to adopt the agenda. Moved by... Oh, I got some delay on my phone here, so I'm going to say Glenn and Ron, I think. That sound about right?
Yep, good on my end.
Okay. Review of the meetings from June 26, 2024. Seems like a long time ago, because it kind of was, but any errors or omissions from the June 26th? Sheila.
Just moving it.
I'm sorry, Sheila. I've got a really bad connection here, so I missed that first part of that because you froze up.
I was just going to move the motion to accept the minutes.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Sheila. Second there? I'm sorry, guys. Danny, I think I'm going to get you to take over this meeting because my Wi-Fi is terrible here, and you guys are all frozen. I don't know if you can hear me now. Holly, can you?
Yeah.
Yes.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you pretty good, Steve.
You can actually see it too.
Can you? Yeah, but you guys are all freezing. So when I'm asking for first for motions to be moved, you're all just froze up. So I can't see who's doing it. But if you could take the meeting, I'll stay on board here. But if you could just do it from your end, would be great.
We'll sit in the car.
All right. So it's moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by someone?
Me.
Councillor Rattle.
Okay.
Whoever you saw there, Holly.
Good.
Let's go with me. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, yeah, nay. Carries. Minutes of October. No, that's the agenda. Sorry about that. Minutes of June 26th. Is that the last one we have there? Yes, it is.
Reports.
Yeah.
We're down. Move
down to committee reports now.
Okay. Finance and Audit Committee. Councillor Hickman.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, good. Yeah, we met September 19th. And the first one, of course, board expenditures report, check register and payroll for June, July, and August. And their check registers, payroll expenses, and credit card statements. And we went through it. There was no concerns. Any questions for Craig or staff? Anyone? And I can't. Danny, you'll have to, if you can see him, you acknowledge him because I can't see. I'm just using my phone.
Okay.
Okay. Be it resolved, the board adopt the expenditure for the months of June, July, and August 2024 is tabled. So moved.
Seconded by Councillor Rantle. Call the question.
Aye.
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 Country carried.
482, Corporate Towns Payment Activity Report dated September 10th. Again, we reviewed that. There was no concerns. There were a number of towns, but subsequently their payments have been brought current. So Craig is very pleased with the situation right now. Any other questions for Craig? Okay. 483, annual fee for waste services. Now, this is a biggie, and you've seen the material there provided for your review. Staff provided our committee with a background analysis that highlights the need to increase the fee for waste collection. There's a significant increase in expenditures related to the bulk and oversized items collection in particular. And so it was recommended that an increased annual fee be created to absorb the costs associated with this. An offer of a lower per household fee to communities that do not wish to participate in oversized items collection will also be made across the region. So you can see that below in the motion. I'll make the motion and then we'll ask for questions. Be it resolved, the board increased the 2025 annual household fee for waste services to $210 per unit for those in areas that do not want curbside collection for bulk or oversized, and $225 for those areas that do want the annual curbside oversized items collection. So moved.
Seconded by Councillor Davis.
Any questions, guys, on that? Because this is a fairly big issue, an item, but it kind of has to be done.
Any comments?
Comment.
Okay, so let's start with Deputy Mayor O'Leary, and then we'll go to Councillor Davis.
Thank you. So in the discussion note, it talks about a couple of options of either just require two options to status quo right now and just see how it kind of unfolds there with the financial statements, or obviously do the increase at this point in time. And I'm just wondering why the recommendation is, if staff could kindly address that. Thank you.
Craig or Lynn?
Craig or Lynn?
When Deputy Mayor O'Leary was asking the question, it kind of skipped. So can you
just the last part of your question?
The last part of your question.
Okay, no problem. I was just referring to the discussion note about the different options that was recommended that we could look at the board. And I'm just wondering why status quo just for a little bit longer is not being recommended at this point in time. I just like a little bit more clarity on that. Thank you.
I think status quo, the reason why I brought it up, because like anything else, you can just continue doing what you're doing, but I think it's going to be very difficult to manage the loss. So what it'll end up doing is cutting into our reserves next year, and in order to get, because we're not going to have enough to revenues over expenditures. Right now with the 210, we're going to be very, very close to break even. But if we leave it at 200, we're going to be taking down money from the reserves and from our operational reserves. So
okay.
It is an option like anything.
It is, yeah, yes, no, but I appreciate the explanation. I just wanted to ensure that it was of an urgent need at this point in time. Thank you.
Councillor Davis?
I was going to comment that when we had our last meeting, talking about not even, having communities where the prices are so high for these bulk pickups that just becomes not feasible. I have a summer place in Avondale, and they have two bulk pickups. I have no idea what the finances look like on that, but the flip side of all this, of course, is without bulk pickup, the communities are going to be dirtier and stuff's going to end up in the woods. So it's really a difficult thing, but it's not a big difference in the price. So I think it's a good idea.
Okay. Any further comments? Jason?
Craig, you said if we were all at 210, you would break even. So why would we bump it up higher to the other higher rate for the bulk average if we're going to break even? Like, otherwise you're looking to gain revenue for other reasons, or I'm just
right now at 210 we're still pulling down. Like we have a surplus from 2023 that we can apply to some of it. So So we're able to pull down that in order to make it break even for at the 210. But there's a small bit of cushion there that if we stay the path and make sure that we're watching the finances, that we might not have to pull that surplus down. So it's a tightrope walk. It's a tightrope to walk, but the thing is, it's possible.
Yeah, but 225, Craig, is what he's at.
He said, should we go straight to 225? The only reason why we're not going to 225 is the 225 with the bulk. If we knock out bulk completely, then and keep it at 210 for the communities that don't want bulk, then we'll be able to, because that's just part of the contract expense. Then if we go to tender again or go to RFP again for all the bulks, then the 225, then the extra expenditure, it's a 225 will cover those. So that's how it's built in.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I see that. It was just when your comment was that we could break even at 210, I just didn't know we were looking for a gain surplus for some reason.
No, I think we're trying to get as close to zero as possible, and by fooling around with the surplus and some of the intent is to not try to draw down a lot on the reserves that we have. So we do have some leeway, but
yeah, bulk collection's gotten very expensive, and of course we know collection is more expensive, and there's no question that tipping fee will go higher. So we have to go to 210, and unfortunately we have to charge a separate rate for curbside oversize, which might be a little discouraging, but unfortunately we have to cover costs. It's getting expensive out there. So that should end it, I guess, Mr. Chair.
Lynn, no, we got some other people who had a comment here. Lynn?
Oh, sorry, can't see.
I was just going to comment, we already have 2 contract areas where our contract costs are over $200 a household this year. So the increase is needed to ensure continued sustainability, basically.
Before tipping fee.
Okay, Glenn, Clark?
Yeah, we just signed up some contracts, so help me go back to towns who have contracts signed for probably 3 years and say we're going to increase the fee. How can we, are we going to have a fight on our hands here?
The board service delivery policy, which is the document that guides that relationship, states that the board sets its annual fee every year and notifies every community by October 31st.
So got nothing to do with so why are we signing 3-year contracts if we can change the price every year? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
We have to cover our costs. The tip fees go up every year. We have fuel escalation clauses built into our contracts. That's an additional cost that we incur. Costs are rising.
Yes, I understand that, but why don't we put an escalator clause then in the original contract when we sign them up? Because I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would suspect that that we're going to get some feedback and some flashback from that. I mean, with having, I mean, that's a significant increase when you stop and think about it. Especially for some of the larger towns.
This is the same policy that we have used for 15 years of contracts, and we have not had. The towns understand, just like their costs go up, the board's costs go up. And we try to manage it. As you know, we've only ever had one increase in the fee in the past. We went from 180 to 200. And this is a 5% fee increase for those who don't want the bulk.
So
Okay.
Glenn, in addition, the tipping fee at Robin Hood Bay is set at each year on an annual basis. So they would have to be adjusted every year to account for that as well.
Well, this has been my last comment on about I can see where we're going to get some flack for that, and if that's not clearly written in the contract, and I don't know, Lynn would know more about that than I would. But if that's not clearly written in the contract where we have that ability to do, then I suspect we're heading for trouble.
I'm assuming that when
It's
these
clearly written as my
groups
understanding,
came in, yeah.
There's nothing new here, Glenn, really.
yeah, we don't, and we don't have specific contracts with individual communities. We
No.
have our service delivery policy, which actually states that this can be done on an annual basis. The majority of our contracts, with exception of I think 2 actually came up due this year because of the situation that we found ourselves in. And we have right now 2 contracts that are over $200. We are losing money on those. So if we don't have the ability to go ahead and raise our fees from 200 to 210, we just won't exist. So if we're not going to increase, or that's not in our back pockets, then it's going to be impossible to budget on a yearly basis. If we go to contract for 1 year on a waste collection, we are going to get hosed, for lack of a better term. The thing is, or what we're paying now is on a 3-year basis, so the contractors can plan out over those 3 years, and we're still losing money on some of those contracts. So it's only because of the numbers that we have that we're able to budget and keep those costs down. So if we don't have that ability, then it's not possible to continue. We'll just be drawing down our reserves, and then we'll have to go after government for further money.
I understand all, I understand all that, but as far as I'm concerned, a contract is a contract.
Okay. Any further comments?
Just one, Danny. Lynn and I spoke to most of the municipalities that we deal with over the last year, and most of them understand that our costs have been rising, and most of them are expecting a small increase, which I think 5% is a pretty small increase considering where we could have gone with it. But I think thanks to Craig and Lynn's staff and Christine that we managed to keep our costs under control. So I'm okay with a 5% increase, I think.
Any further comments? Call to question.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? 2? Was there 2 contrary there or 1? Contrary, raise your hands again. 1 contrary. Motion's carried.
Alrighty. So we move on then to the fee schedule for next year. That's all there for you to review. We had staff from city, and they provided an overview of the fee schedule for Robin Hood Bay and the necessity for increasing fees there as well. So it's been proposed, and the committee recommends that the fee at Robin Hood Bay go from $90.75 per metric ton to $92.50, and the recyclables increased to $30.50 per metric ton from $28.75. And the changes are in the current fee schedule that's been put forward, and we as a committee are recommending that. And so therefore be it resolved that the board adopt the fee schedule for 2025 as tabled. Again, I can't really see what I'm doing here, so Lynn or Craig may want, if there's any more detail you want to mention over and above the 2 fees, then now's the time.
Is there a seconder to the motion to adopt the fee schedule? Jill.
Sandy, the only thing I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, the only thing I'll add is there's a whole list of fees there.
Yeah.
As you know, that's used at Claremont Transfer Station and the Robin Hood Bay facility. And so those fees are part of the overall fee schedule. The 2 tip fees that you mentioned, of course, would be the regular garbage and the recyclables, the ones that our communities are most interested in.
No question.
Okay. Any further comment on the fee schedule? Being none, call to question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Nay. No contraries. Motion's carried.
Alrighty then. Let's move on to 4A5. We have to replace the oil water separator at the Claremont Transfer Station. The staff provided some background information for this replacement, and made sense. Quite a necessity. It's not a huge expense. So therefore, I move that be it resolved that the board award Emerald Plumbing and Heating the supply and installation of a replacement oil water separator at the Claremont Transfer Station in the amount of $13,755 plus HST. So moved.
Seconded by. Hands. Sheila. Any further comment? Questions? Suggestions? Call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? No contrary. Motion carries. Office lease extension, Councillor Hickman.
Yeah, this is a biggie as well. There is an opportunity before us. The owner is interested in leasing, purchasing. It's a funny situation because it's a condominium corp. The best thing for me to do is to let Lynn provide the detail for everyone.
Basically, we have an opportunity to sit down and negotiate with the landlord or the property owner to purchase our current unit plus an adjoining unit and the end unit. So basically, the 3 spaces would be adjoining. We're going from 2,671 square feet to almost 5,000 square feet with all 3 units. The unit at the end is currently being rented, so that would be a source of revenue for the board for up until I think sometime in 2027. And right now, we're looking, I guess, for a motion to sit down and negotiate or begin the negotiations in principle, so that we can determine whether or not the board wants to proceed with the purchase.
But the middle part, we could avail of the space in near future, correct?
Yes.
And take advantage of that current vestibule inside the outside door there. We could make that our entrance, correct? And save some space and use some space where the current receptionist sits as well for another office, correct?
Exactly. There would be enough space for the foreseeable, 3 to 5 years with just the one adjoining unit. Like I said, the other one would be a source of revenue. And we could certainly avail of that as well if needed when the current tenant leaves.
And Craig, could you just go through the comparison of what we're paying in rent versus what the carrying costs would be with
yeah, so it's a really big opportunity for us. Currently we're paying about 89,000 rent per year. So what this would do is and so that equates to about 7,300 per month. This would give us give us an asset. So at the end of, we have a couple of options available in the briefing note, the last one being 884265, which is 15-year amortization. So we own the building in 15 years and 5.25%. So that could go up and down because we've had a really good history with BMO, and everything we have is with BMO, including our investments. So ultimately then after 15 years, the building is ours. Yes, we take on additional responsibilities with snow clearing and things like that. But with that said, that's 8,000 or just under 9,000 on the mortgage. And what you also have then is the lease that can get that the unit one. So that has to be considered as well. So either way, we'd be paying less ultimately to stay there for a much greater area.
But
if I can interrupt for 1 second, Mr. Chair, I'm declaring myself in conflict and won't be discussing or voting on this issue.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just saying the main point here today is that we know we have an opportunity for a decent deal, but the approval here would be to allow for negotiation.
Exactly.
I'll make that. Be it resolved, or accepts a tentative offer to purchase 255 major 1, 2, and 3 in principle to allow for negotiation of final amounts. Any purchase of real property is subject to ministerial approval. I'll move that.
Seconded by.
I'll second that for discussion.
Glenn Clark. Comments?
I was just wondering, I guess we'll get an inspection done of the building to make sure that it's in good condition and would there be an anticipated, major renovation down the road? Craig mentioned about 15 years. That's probably, and I don't know how old the building is now, so.
Building was built in 2000, late 2011, early 2012. We moved in. We were one of the first tenants in April of 2012. And of course, we'll be doing due diligence with the appraisal and inspections, and we'll have a lawyer involved for sure. And the executive committee will be the negotiating team. So I believe that answers the question, or. Yeah.
And there's a lot of, and we discussed that there's a lot of programs out there, say through FCM or whatever, it's for municipal buildings. So suddenly that if we own the building, it opens that up to us. So like we'll investigate all that to try to keep costs down and for renovations and things like that. So we'll stretch that dollar.
Any other comments? Tom?
Lynn, has the building been renovated or upgraded since you did?
No, there's been no major renovations done. The landlord has been with maintenance. He ensures the HVAC system. I think there was some work done on that several years ago. But the filters are cleaned regularly and things like that. So the building has been well maintained, but certainly not renovated.
Tom, I think you had a question there.
Well, yeah, I was just wondering about the heating system. I never really paid any attention to it. How is the building heated?
Electricity.
So it's not heat pumps or that kind of thing?
No.
So there might be an opportunity through FCM or through the federal government, maybe for a retrofit, maybe to bring down the operating costs with some heat pumps even.
So
that can certainly be investigated. It's a good suggestion.
No question.
Yeah.
Any other comments? You're going to get a new roundabout right outside your door. Moved by Councillor Hickman. Seconder was Tom. Call the question. All those in favor? Yay. Contrary?
Yay.
No contrary.
No contrariness.
Oh. Motion's carried.
Excellent, guys. That's a nice step forward, I think. Next one is Trinity Conception North oversized items collection this year, 2024.
Rob,
Somebody say something? No, okay. Staff have been pursuing options to
I
offer.
said, is Ron back?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
There he is. Look, I can see him across the street there. Staff have been pursuing options to offer the oversized items collection to the residents of TC North without success. The board has received several quotes for this work, and the quotes are much higher than prices received for other areas. There is distance to Robin Hood Bay, etc. The best quote received is 60% higher than any other price accepted. So we can't accept acceptance of any quote received, get the quotes that we have. And so therefore we have some discussion how best to provide the area with such collection. We talked about maybe a pilot project that would involve bringing one of the board's grapple trucks to communities in the area and having residents bring their oversized items to the truck at a central location. So we felt the board should try this, so the opportunity would be there for that area to dispose of oversized items at some point this fall. So staff, subsequent to our meeting, have been working on details and communication with this project, and will report back to the board. Is there anything new on that, Lynn?
No, that's where we are. We're looking at having several of our staff with one of our grapple trucks. So we'll have somebody on the ground, somebody who can load in the heavy waste into the truck and have the public bring it there. As noted, I believe the lowest bid for that area was close to $70,000 once you get taxes in for an area with a little over 1,600 households. It was just off the charts.
Crazy. That's our new reality sometimes. Any questions, anyone?
Yeah, I just have a couple of questions, and part of this is just me not knowing how the system works.
But, well,
So if we'd awarded the tender, where would they would haul that right to Robin Hood Bay, correct?
yes.
We still haul it right to Robin Hood Bay.
No, I understand. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to understand the process. If there was metals in the bulk pickup, would they separate it, or would they just haul it all to Robin Hood Bay? How would that work?
Metals would be separated.
So would they then do multiple runs, or they did metal first, or would they in the truck do it? How would that work?
Christy, did you want to provide the logistics for that?
So Councillor Davis, it's not a contracted tender. It's going to be done by ERSB staff.
No, I understand
So
that. I'm
we'll be
talking
using our own resources. So we would end up having to use 2 vehicles for collection of the materials. Because we wouldn't be able to leave the site unattended in the middle of the day. So the concept is to do 3 different sites on 3 different Saturdays. And so there would have to be we wouldn't be able to make 2 trips.
No, what I was wondering is if we had awarded the contract, how would that normally happen? Would they do multiple runs, or would they in the same vehicle have metal and then separate it somehow magically, or how would it work normally if we had awarded the contract?
Oh, sorry about that. So yes, normally all the non-metal bulk goes into a compactor, and the metal bulk goes into either a compactor or into a pickup truck and gets offloaded at our waste recovery facilities. Because it's less haul for the contractor.
Okay, thank you.
Jill?
Yeah, so I think, I mean, obviously you're trying see what's going to work, because at that price it doesn't make sense. I just think you can probably expect to have less people participating, just because I know coming from when we do bulk pickup, we do it at the curb because we don't have a truck or a trailer, the ability to get the bulk to somewhere else. So you probably will see lower numbers, but I mean, it's an option for sure.
The furthest community away from a waste recovery facility in this area is about 20 minutes. So they're already all very, very close to a facility.
Yeah, and that's great. I just like, even for us, even 20 minutes, we just don't have a trailer or a truck, right? So there's probably going to be people in that. But I mean, you can't, you're just trying to find a solution. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Jason, just seconds, Andy. Jason, you had a question there?
Sorry.
Yeah, with these tenders where we're getting these single bids and stuff, did we reach out to any other contractor in other areas that do it even possible to do that? Like versus the people that
I believe Christy reached out to all known waste haulers that bid on our work. And I believe she's even reached out to some that don't historically bid on our work. We don't have the problem. I guess one of the problems that we are facing is a lack of competition in the market right now. We pretty much have a handful of contractors that are involved in our contracts and our contract areas.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything further?
I forget what I was going to say, so let's move on. The budget, gang.
That's a motion there.
No,
we should vote on.
No, not on this. Not on the
recommended actions. Not a motion. Okay.
No. The staff will report back to the board as well.
Okay.
Draft budget. Again, briefing material is there for your review. We went through an overview of the budget for next year and highlighted some of the financial analysis used to determine line items such as salaries, curbside, collection contract expense, tipping fees expense, which you now are aware of, and vehicle expenses. There's been an overall increase in the costs associated with providing municipal services. So staff are paying close attention to our revenues and expenditures. And there was also the discussion on the increase for the annual household rate. So that was the main changes in the budget. Everything is generally the same. Craig, could you offer any further elaboration on this?
The year over year, the numbers were pretty, like you can see that the numbers were pretty close. I think 10.6 both years. But the thing is that we had to really get our pens out and try to figure out where we could save because of the increase in the contract expense. We have been saving some money with the transportation and vehicle expenses because we've been down a driver and we're down a truck. So things like that. But for the most part, and we shelved some positions that we didn't necessarily need at this particular moment. But either way, we made sure that we weren't going to break the bank. But anyway, even though the two numbers are pretty close, that's with the huge increase in the contract expense. So that's why we needed the 210. And then if we consider the bulk, that's why it's going to 225 because of the additional contracts with those. So like I said before, that the majority of our contract, with the exception of two, I do believe all of them came due this year. And now what happens with all those contracts is that we didn't put bulk in there. So bulk is now outside of the contract. So even the contract expense is high even without the bulks. So then we have to go on a yearly basis to the contractors to ask for the bulk service. And obviously they're taking their time, and it's not a 36-month or a 4-year contract. This is a 6-week contract for them. So there is a substantial difference in the cost with the bulk versus the regular contracts. But since we pulled them out, we've been offering one bulk per year, but it has been intriguing to try to budget for it. So with the 225, we'll come in and we'll be able to absorb the increased cost in that until everybody gets used to the bulks.
There's nothing else unusual in the bulk or in the budget overall. I guess it's pretty well status quo. Everything else,
pretty much everything status quo. We did, like I said, we did look at some things and reduce some of the padding we had in other areas, but for the most part, it was status quo, and we're gonna go from there.
Okay, well, I'll make the motion. Before we ask any questions, be it resolved that the board adopt the budget for 2025 as tabled.
Seconded by Glenn. Tom, you got your hand up there?
Question about the RRSPs increasing given the fact that salaries were down. I'm just curious, did we increase the benefits, how much we were contributing is?
Salaries were down because of the, good question. Salaries were down because of are down because of we were trying to build those particular positions, but for everybody else, we're the ones who are taking advantage of the RSPs. We're kind of getting older in our positions, so we're getting, yeah. So it's a kind
so
of
we're just matching. Are we? Is that what's happening up to a point? Is that how it works?
It's like at 7% RSPs.
What the board does, it pays staff persons, but once they're past the probation period full time, 7% of gross salary as a pension payout. We manage that ourselves. Basically, it's self-managed.
So is that 131,000? I don't have it in front of me now, but that 130,000 plus, is that including the employee's contribution?
That probably also, it doesn't say that's the employee benefits amount. Is that what we're referring to? Because if it is, that would also include the medical, dental, short-term disability, those benefits as well.
It's just under RSP.
Yeah,
okay, that would be the full RSP payout. We do have, I think it's 20 full-time employees. Yeah.
That went from 131 down to 117. So
okay. I was reading it backwards. I'm sorry. Scratch my question.
And
Totally
just
scratch.
from, oh, and one of the other things, we did save on salaries this year by having, unfortunately, one of our truck drivers is off on medical leave. We've had another one needing to take some time off as well, albeit much shorter time. And we've just had a position open in Whitburn pretty much for this full year for a heavy equipment operator. So Christy is slowly getting the complement of staff back up. But we've struggled to get staff, but it reflects in the numbers sometimes.
But not in 2025. Of course, it'll hopefully be a full complement for 2025 with the usual 2 or 3% increase in wages, I guess.
Any further comments on the budget? So, call the question. All those in favor of the budget? Contrary. We have no contrary. Motion's carried.
All right, one last item, Mr. Vice Chair. Pleased to announce that St. Mary's, Riverhead, St. Vincent, St. Stephen's, Peters River, and Gasker's Point LaHaye in the Southwest Avalon are requesting the board to provide waste collection services starting in January of next year. So that's good news to have some of them back, and staff have started the process for a contract for the area. So it's nice to see our services expanding. Any questions or further comments on that? Any updates on that, Lynn?
No, we have motions from all the towns to accept the service in line with the service delivery policy. And as you'll see in the next report from the strategy committee, the board is also working on an actual agreement to govern those relationships as well.
When do we go call for tender, do you figure?
We've already begun the process. And so as soon as we have something to bring forward to committee, which we hope will probably be next month or later this month, and so we can get service in place.
Yeah, so we want to get tender out as quick as possible, though. Do you need our approval to put a tender out?
No, we need the approval to award. We can go to market.
Yeah, you can go anytime you're ready. That's great. Any questions, anyone on that? All right, Your Worship, I'm done.
No, you're not quite done yet. We're going to go back, Sandy, to the, which one was that?
Geez, I just deleted it.
Number 7.
Number 7. So we're going to need a motion on that one because we're making a decision, and it only came from the finance committee. It wasn't approved by the board.
All right, well, I'll make that motion.
Seconded by Bill Antle. Any comments?
Yeah, what
Call
is
the
it?
question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? No contrary. Carried. All right. Thank you, Sandy.
Okay.
Now to find out where I am, Strategy and Policy Committee.
I'm going to pass that one over to Rod.
Rod, is there?
Absolutely.
Yep, there he is.
Everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So, Strategy and Policy Committee met on September the 11th, and the following is the report from that meeting. Agenda item 4B1, Waste Service Agreement for Use with Municipalities. The board has traditionally used the Waste Management Service Delivery Policy to outline how the board would deliver services to residents. However, the board continues to hear from municipalities that they would like a more formal agreement. Therefore, tonight, a new waste service agreement is tabled that will guide the relationship between the board and the municipality. This new agreement will outline the relationship between the two parties and be signed by the two parties. The committee was very pleased with the composition of the new agreement. So be it resolved that the board adopts the waste service agreement as tabled for use with municipalities to govern the board's provision of waste services. Any questions?
Do we have a seconder?
Rod, just got one quick thing there, Rod.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jenny, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Lynn, this doesn't change anything from what we've been doing. It just formalizes what we have been doing, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Over to you, Mayor Breen.
Anybody? Any other questions? Call the question. All those in favor?
I don't think we got a seconder on that, Mayor.
Yeah, we did. We had Bill Antle, I think it was.
My apologies.
Contrary? Nobody's contrary. Motion's carried.
Okay. Agenda item 4B2, the waste recovery facility winter closures concerning Bell Island and Cavendish. Briefing materials are included in tonight's meeting package. Staff reported that due to the low usage and high costs associated with keeping the sites in Cavendish and on Bell Island open during the winter, it is recommended that the sites be closed. These two sites have been closed for the winter months for the past number of years. So be it resolved that the board close the Bell Island and Cavendish waste recovery facilities over the winter months from Monday, December the 16th, to reopen again on Saturday, April the 5th, 2025. Any questions?
Can I ask one? No concern about Christmas garbage, is there?
These sites only accept oversized bulk type items. No garbage is allowed on these. Wabana has its own waste collection available for residents. Yeah.
All right, go for it.
Just for members' information, this site did have a fire this past weekend and is currently closed right now. We do hope to have it open, I would think, in the next week or so. But there's quite a bit of damage done to the materials that was there, and it's going to take some time for our staff to get there and clean it up appropriately. And it's going to also mean us having to bring in some Class A gravel to put back down because the removal of the burnt items and the ash and everything means that we're removing a lot of that gravel surface that we're responsible to maintain. But that's just a side note to let you know what's going on there.
Any further comments?
Lynn, do you have any cost estimates on that yet?
No, unfortunately, I don't. Christy might be able to speak to the cost of the gravel that's going to be required, but it's going to mean several trips, I would think, with our trucks and staff to do a proper and correct clean out. There's also vandalism done to the fence again, and if you recall, it was only the spring. I think we were in a ballpark then of around $12,000 addressing the fire and the ongoing vandalism that we experienced in the spring. So now it seems to be starting again.
The actual amount of soot and burnt items and ash left on the site, we are actually somewhat concerned that we don't have the tools internally to do the cleanup because a grapple truck can't pick up that material. So it's not as straightforward as the last time. There is a significant amount of things that the grapple truck just can't maintain. So it may be a duplicate effort of our internal resources as well as external. We're still trying to figure that out.
Maybe we could reach out to the town of Wabana and see if we can borrow their rubber tire backhoe and they can maybe lend a helping hand.
Yeah, we
Tom?
have. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I was just going to say, if we got to bring gravel over, right, is that going to come from the island or off the island?
It'll depend on the most cost-effective resource sourcing of the gravel. The on-site gravel that's Class A, the on-site Class A that's there right now was not procured from the island, when the facility was developed, but we would look for the most cost effective Class A.
If you had to bring dump trucks over to haul away the burnt material, might be good to get them to come over with crushed stone in them, make it paying trip both ways.
Yes, a backhaul for sure. Yeah.
Any further comments? Call the question. All those in favor? Contrary? Carried.
Agenda item 4B3. This is an update, folks. Renews Kappa Hayden Waste Recovery Facility. Staff reported on a situation at the Renews Kappa Hayden Waste Recovery Facility, and a meeting between MHA, Loyola O'Driscoll, Mayor Jack Lawler, and board representatives were held to discuss the ongoing issues. The Shoreline Irish Loop, apologies. The Shoreline Irish Loop Post conducted interviews with the board's representative for the area, Deputy Mayor Jason O'Brien of Bay Bulls, and with the Mayor of Renews Kappa Hayden, Jack Lawler, to gather information for an article regarding the site. A copy of that article is included in tonight's meeting package. The board has a legal responsibility to protect all employees. These types of situations will not go unrecorded or uninvestigated, with all appropriate measures taking place. Any questions on this?
No, I just like to say, Rod, though, I would like to say, Rod, that I thank Jason for handling that interview on behalf of the board. And I think the paper did an okay job reporting it. They got most of the correct information in there, I think.
Okay, everybody's okay. Moving on, number 5, Rod.
So the electrification of Renews Kappa Hayden Waste Recovery Facility update.
Number
Staff
4,
discussed. Gotcha. Staff discussed the most recent update from Newfoundland Power. The status of the easement application for the Renews Kappa Hayden Waste Recovery Facility is ongoing. A decision will have to occur to determine the options available for the winter if the easement is not provided soon. This is the only waste recovery facility that remains to be electrified. Any questions from the board?
So we're still status quo. There have been no progress whatsoever from our lovely Crown Department.
I did speak to MHA O'Driscoll on it on a couple of occasions in the last couple of weeks as well, and he's going at it from his angle as well. So I think everybody's on top of this. I just don't know what needs to happen.
I recently followed up as well with Newfoundland Power with our contact there, and they're still waiting.
Great. Any further comments, questions on that? If not, we move on, Rod.
Okay. Number 5, staff noted that the residential user cards have been designed at the waste recovery facilities. Implementation of the new card system will begin in the fall, and a predetermined grace period will be allowed for residents to obtain a user card. The completed process and user card only access will begin on April 1st, 2025. Any questions on this update?
When in the fall? Do we have any firm dates, Lynn?
No, the cards have now been ordered, and so as soon as we get them, we've got the application, I believe, is pretty much finished. Christine and I have been working on that, and we'll be ready to start getting those out to people right away. And it'll be, as you stated, a grace period or a soft introduction with basic access denied as of April 1st next year without a proper user card.
Okay, Rod.
Continuing with updates, number 6 is the installation of new scale software at the Clarenville transfer station. Staff noted that the required kiosks are installed at the Clarenville transfer station. The kiosk and the new software have been tested in Clarenville, and it appears to be working well. Staff continue to work with strong data to have the new scale software to communicate with existing financial software for billing purposes. The committee will be updated once live testing has been completed. Questions?
No questions. Let's move on to number 7.
Number 7 is the water well at the Clarenville transfer station. Staff noted that there was only one drilling company available for the water well for the Clarenville transfer station, and the well was drilled last week. Currently, we await the appropriate pump to finalize installation. An update on the progress will be provided to the committee at the next meeting. There were 2 questions for Christy for additional information, please. One being, how deep did you have to go to get the water?
460 feet.
Wow. Secondly, what is the flow rate of the water?
The estimates right now are 1/4 gallon per minute, which is sufficient for our needs.
We're working on this for a long time, haven't we?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Christy. We all look forward to getting this project finalized, of course. Mayor Breen, I'm going to go right into item number 8. Lessons learned from the Site Attendance Professional Development Day held on August the 21st, 2024. The committee reviewed information from the first annual Site Attendance Professional Development Day. It was very successful. Staff noted that this is the first time that all the board site attendants have been able to get together for professional development, and it was very well received by all involved. Some highlights of the in-depth discussions: children and pets should remain in vehicles for safety reasons. Disrespectful behavior from site users is a common issue with all site attendants, especially those without a working partner. Site attendants reiterated the fact that loads must be inspected. Uninspected loads are a common cause of the issues on these sites. U-Haul and enclosed trailers were also discussed. The site attendants asked for better direction on how to deal with these units when they show up on site. Site attendants were pleased to hear about the new access cards that are being implemented. They are hopeful that these cards may address a lot of the negative issues that they faced at the waste recovery facilities. Overall, both the site attendants and office staff were very positive and pleased with the meeting. They want to see it become an annual event. Any questions for the board?
Just, Mr. Chair, I'll just one comment, actually. I think that this kind of professional development is excellent. I'm really pleased to hear the benefits of it. We know that behaviors oftentimes have to be changed, and we need to do them by practice, each and every one of us. And so, I think this is a very successful way to go, and pleased to see it happen. Thank you.
Okay. Rod, the water wastewater quarterly report.
The board's water wastewater operator continues to support 19 communities throughout the Eastern region, and his quarterly reports will continue to be provided to the board for review. Any questions on that brief? Seeing none, I'll move down to number 10, Mayor. Scheduling an ERSB private meeting planning session. The committee agreed how important it was for board members to get together to review policies and to set the board's long and short-term strategic priorities. The board clerk will survey board members for availability for late October or for a planning session to be held in advance of our regular monthly meeting scheduled for 7 p.m. on October 30th. The October 30th meeting is scheduled for the North Bank Lodge in Pippy Park. Therefore, if we could get a quorum for our planning session to begin at approximately 5 p.m. on that date, it would be ideal. Again, the board clerk will be in touch to seek everyone's availability. Open for questions.
Rod, just to add a note into that one, as you all know, the board is required to have 6 public meetings every year, and we've already filled that complement of public meetings. So if it is something that we wanted to combine with our regular monthly meeting. We could make that a private meeting and do our our planning session on the same evening, and we can just ratify the motions at the following public meeting in November. So that is an option if you'd like to proceed with that, but I'll certainly send an email out and survey the board as mentioned.
Comment, Danny?
Sure.
Question, yeah. Like an extra hour doesn't seem a lot for a planning session. Is it just sort of a wide open forum and throw ideas around, or are we going to have some structure as to, like, what do you think about, should we be getting into getting back to our own collection, or should we be looking at different ways of doing bulk pickup, like issues out there for discussion? Lynn, and I don't think we talked about this as executive. What are your thoughts, Lynn?
I believe we had talked about that, and we had decided that it would be a structured discussion. Of course, any topic that board members is interested in or you'd like to see become part of the board's priorities over the next couple of years, please send me an email and I'll get them added to the list. Any direction or, could really direct the conversation that evening into a good discussion. Just looking for priorities for the next 2 years or so.
Yeah, okay, well, I guess we can go into the evening if we need to. Thank you.
Yeah, Sandy, my thoughts were that we'd start at 5 and go till probably 8 and scrap the public meeting that night. And like Holly said earlier, just ratified in the November meeting then, right?
Okay, fair enough.
We could probably get a good 3 hours.
Yeah, perfect.
And most of our large board business items are completed at tonight's meeting as well. So we don't expect to have, hopefully nothing, major comes up over the next couple of weeks, but we don't expect to have a long agenda for the board meeting because we're knocking off quite a few important items there tonight. So it shouldn't be a long meeting by no means.
Hey, Rod, your final point.
Agenda item number 11, discussion on the status of ERSB's Communications and Community Relations Committee Working Group. The board chair noted that the board's Communications and Community Relations Working Group committee is now without a member after Director Jamie Korab's resignation. For the time being, it was decided that the board should explore other ways to communicate, engage, and collaborate with our communities. Questions are for the floor. Seeing none, Mayor Breen, I think that concludes the report from Strategy and Policy. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Governance Committee. Who is doing the Governance Committee this evening?
I'll take care of that, Your Worship.
Oh, there you are, Jill.
There you go. So on September the 18th, we had our meeting number 96. And in the absence of Deputy Mayor Kevin McDonald, I will bring it forward. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, so agenda item 4C1, CRA Statement of Account. The quarterly statement of account for the board's payroll deductions is included for members' information. The account is in good standing and all payments to the end of the second quarter have been submitted on time. Any questions? Okay, might move on. Agenda item 4C2, Board Professional Development Opportunity for Spring 2025. Committee reviewed a professional development opportunity for board members. The International City County Management Association, or the ICMA, is offering its local government reimagined conference in 2 locations in 2025. In February, this conference will be held in Denver, and in April, it will be held in Milwaukee. The topics planned for the conference include data and technology, management strategies, leadership approaches, livable communities, service delivery innovations, and thriving local economies. Committee will consider participating in this event once an agenda has been published, and more information will be brought forward to the board as it becomes available. Any questions? Agenda item 4C3, ERSB Code of Conduct. The board clerk was asked to begin work on a code of conduct for board members, especially those who may not be governed by a municipal code of conduct. The province's new Municipal Conduct Act, which provides clear guidelines for municipal councils requiring them to establish their own codes of conduct, took effect on September 1st, 2022. The board clerk will continue to work on a code of conduct for the board. Now, any questions? Comments? No? Okay. Your worship, if you're fine, I'll just continue on. Agenda item 4C4, review of per diem rates. A briefing note is included in tonight's meeting package. The board's travel expense policy was adopted in 2014 and updated once in 2022. However, since that time, it has been noted that the current rates do not cover the increasing costs of meal and travel. These costs have increased significantly since the pandemic. The proposed daily allowance for meals is more reflective of actual costs as it is the increase for incidentals from 15 to 10 for overnight of travel. It is proposed that the board members and staff will be reimbursed $90 per day for the meals without receipts when traveling within Canada. A review of meal allowances was completed, and the results are included in tonight's meeting package for members' information. Rates for the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Ontario, British Columbia, as well as the Government of Canada was reviewed. The National Joint Council and the PSAC are also included for your information. Are there any questions? No? Okay, so I will put forward the motion that it be resolved that the board update its travel per diem allowances as tabled. That's a move.
Seconded by Sheila. Any comments? Call the question. All those in favor? Contrary? Carried.
Agenda item 4C5, Joint Council support. A briefing notice is included. At the committee meeting, it was determined that the board clerk would only continue to support administrative support to the Northeast Avalon Joint Council and the Southern Shore Joint Council. It appears the desire for administrative support has diminished for most joint councils. The board began providing free administrative support to the joint councils in 2017 or for the past 7.5 years. At that time, the joint councils had expressed issues with the with continuing their business, and they welcomed the support from the board clerk. Sorry, words are just not coming to me right now. Since the pandemic, it seems that several of the joint councils have not been as active and struggled to maintain quorum for meetings. In addition, the board clerk has been challenged in several joint council meetings and finds herself defending the board's policies where the intent is not to become the subject of the meeting, but only to provide administrative support. I'll ask if there's any questions. I just will add, as being, I have been on the Avalon Joint Council it's my 3rd year, and I really appreciate the support that Holly gives that committee. I think it would be difficult to have the meetings as organized as they are, and to get we struggle sometimes with quorum, but I know for the last meeting, I think we had most of the people. I'm not sure exactly the number, but so I know in that case, it is really appreciated, and I'm happy that she's willing to continue with that one. Anyone else?
Yeah, I contacted Isabella Fry just before the meeting, just to check. I mean, I was vice chair of Northeast Avalon Joint Councils too, and I think Holly was really invaluable. They wouldn't be as successful without Holly being there. But one of the suggestions, I mean, if it's financial, the Northeast Avalon does have money in the bank that they could certainly help offset any costs. And they really want to keep Holly, so they'd be lost. I'll just pass on that comment. That's all. Thanks.
Hey, thank you. Jason.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo the same thing as Jill said. Holly's a great support, help organizing and keep them structured and taking notes and whatnot. It was all great. Really appreciate it.
Rod.
Echoing the same sentiments about Holly's facilitation, et cetera, and how valuable it is to the Joint Councils, Conception Bay North. But I think what needs to be also recognized here is it's becoming entirely dependent upon her facilitation and how she's expected to involve herself. And I don't think that was the intent here. I think the intent was facilitation to assist, to help us continue. But without her, it seems, or without that facilitation from the ERSB, then we're going sideways. And I think it's lost its intended purpose. And that intended purpose should be focused upon joint councils, especially for the Joint Council at Conception Bay North. We have secretary, we have chair, we have vice chair, we have treasurer. there's times I swear she's doing all 4 roles, and I don't think that makes a tap of sense.
Any other comments?
Yeah. Just one quick one there, Danny. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
we'll keep her in those. We'll keep her in the role of the JCCBN and the Northeast Regional Joint Councils and the Southern Shore Joint Council. The JCCBN will drop, but the Northeast Regional Joint Council and the Southern Shore Joint Council, as long as they're active, we'll keep her in those 2 roles. But Lynn and I have talked about, enhancing Holly's role, perhaps even replacing the Community Relations Committee and putting her more in the role of outreach to the communities as well as outreach to the board. So we'll work that through over the next couple of months.
Good stuff. All right. Joint Councils report.
Okay, so agenda item 4C6, the Joint Councils report. A briefing notice included in tonight's meeting package. The Southern Shore Joint Council is scheduled to meet again on Thursday, October the 10th. No meeting was held in September due to the lack of quorum. The Conception Bay North Joint Council last met on March the 28th. They have been unable to attain quorum ever since then. The Northeast Avalon Joint Council continues to meet on the second Wednesday of every month, with their last meeting held on September the 11th. At that meeting, the Policing Transformation Working Group, as well as representatives from the Government of Newfoundland, provided presentations that were well received. The next meeting of the NEAJC will take place on October the 9th. The NEAJC annual general meeting will also take place on October the 9th, just prior to the regular monthly meeting. And the Sounds Joint Council met last on April the 8th, and there has not been a meeting since due to the lack of quorum. And that's it for me. Thank you, everyone, for your time and your attention.
Thank you, Jill. Correspondence. We have the letter of continued funding from Department of Environment, Climate Change for the Regional Water Wastewater Program. Anybody have any questions about that? Didn't think so. The article from the shoreline that was referred to previously is included there for your information. An email response to Randy Sims, Department of Environment and Climate Change. Oversized items collection in Smith Sound. Fairly self-explanatory. Email response to Rob Locke and Krista Kernew. Oversized items collection, the same Smith Sound. Email response to MHA Craig Parody for Smith Sound. That is all. Anybody have any questions on any of the correspondence that's there? If not, moving on to new business, we have a few motions there that were approved by email that have to be ratified. And I think they have to be done separately, so we'll them over with quickly. Oversized items collection for Town of Pooch Cove. Moved by somebody? Tom, seconded by Larry Vaders. Call the question. All those in favor, aye. Contrary,
Aye.
nay. Somebody voting against that there? Did I just hear a nay or an A coming out of that? Okay, we'll assume they were all in favor. Oversized items bulk collection, Conception Bay Center. Moved by Mark Verdi, seconded by Jill Bruce. Call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary, none. Motion carried. Request for capital funding, site upgrade and environmental closure of former landfill. That would be moved by Steve Tessier and seconded by Bill Attle. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Nay. No nays. Motion's carried. Joint sponsorship of M&L Conference and Trade Show, Gander, Newfoundland. That is moved by somebody, Sheila, seconded by Bill Anto. Any comments? No comments. Call the question. All those in favor, say aye. And contrary. 1, 2 contrary. Could we see the contrary hands again? 2. Motion's carried. And that is our agenda. We come to the round table and just want to recognize Charles Bowen, who is attending the meeting this evening. Charles, welcome to see you. And do you have anything to go around? You can go first tonight. How's that?
Thank you, Mayor, and appreciate the opportunity to join the meeting again. I know it's getting late, but I have a couple of important things I'd like to share. And if you're having difficulty hearing me, it's
oh, you're perfect.
I got yet another man cold. Important news to share is that as of yesterday, we've started accepting applications from municipalities, Indigenous groups, and from local service districts for our Community Waste Diversion Fund. Important for you guys to remember. Deadline is Friday, November the 15th. So projects that demonstrate strong potential for waste reduction, diversion, collaboration, and sustainability are eligible for funding up to a maximum of $25,000. Project types include development of infrastructure or programs that make waste diversion opportunities available to residents. Projects that safely remove hazardous recycled materials that would otherwise be waste and have the potential to contaminate the land or water. And utilization of surveillance cameras and supporting activities for the purpose of deterring and supporting illegal dumping. If you're having any trouble, got any questions about meeting that timeline or the application process, please reach out to me and I'll put you in contact with staff. Holly, I'll share a link with you if you don't have it already. Just get it out to all your membership, please. The more that we share the link, the more we'll get applications into the process as well.
Thanks, go ahead.
Okay, we also issued a news release with the Department of Environment and Climate Change yesterday. October is Circular Economy Month, which is a nationwide initiative aiming at educating and engaging residents on the importance of the circular economy. So if you don't know what the circular economy is, this is where we focus on using products and materials like repairing, reusing, remanufacturing, recycling. Just as a reminder, I don't know how many of your municipalities recognize this, but October 21st to the 27th is Waste Reduction Week. And as we lead up to that and throughout the month, MMSB is going to have some online campaigns. We'll be offering some resources and some practical tips as well. If there's anything you're doing that you'd like us to participate with you in or to facilitate or promote, please reach out to me and I'll put you in contact with our staff and we'd be more than happy to help you out there as well. We were in Toronto last week where I got this darn cold at the King Stewardship Conference. A lot of conversation there about the Federal Plastics Registry. For those of you who are not aware of that, I think it's important that you become aware of that as municipalities and as a regional service board. You will be a reporting entity into this registry. So if you're looking for any help with that, I'm more than happy to help you understand that. Me, myself, as MMSB, I will be a reporting entity as well. So there's currently a guide out for comment that's been out for quite some time, and the closing date for that guide, comments on that guide, is October the 11th. And I think that's all that I have to share with you tonight. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to take some now, including carnation cans.
Thanks very much, Charles. Hope you're feeling better soon. So let's start with Sheila.
Thank you. That was a fulsome report. I really appreciate staff's attention to all of that. I just have one comment here in regards to some contact that I've had recently regarding a new cooperative called Newfound Sand that is trying to get a glass recycling program on the go. They just formed as a cooperative, and the proponent reached out to me, so I just wanted to bring it up because obviously this is MMSB's Ballywhack as well too. And I've been certainly speaking with our city staff at the landfill to find out how we can support, if it's feasible, this kind of effort. Obviously, a lot of glass that doesn't end up getting recycled at this point in time ends up in the landfill. And I don't know about anybody else, but for me, it was always, this is like a fabulous business idea just waiting to happen. Obviously, the logistics of getting glass off the island is a no-go. So I'm really happy to see somebody come forward with a really positive business idea. So there'll be further discussions about that and how the city intersects with that, with the landfill, and certainly interested in MMSB's take and involvement, if at all. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Bill. Antle. Okay. Glenn Clark. Are you talking, Glenn, or you're on mute there? There you are.
Thank you, Mayor. All good here.
All good? Jason? All good. Mark? All good. Sandy?
Just to say, mention that you and I, Danny, were at wonderful press conference announcements today where the Canadian it's called Computers for Schools, right, Danny?
That's it.
Have made a major donation to Canada Games this year, 25, and also in the future. They are donating, I think it's $400,000 worth of computers to the games, which we will use and use very well. Also, they will be then circulated out to either sport groups or back to schools again. But also they did have they did have the Canadian lady from the Canadian Circular Economy Organization. I don't know, Charles, if you're aware of that group, you probably are. But they were there and discussing it, and it was really good to see more attention paid to that. I don't know, is anything else I missed, Sir Danny, or?
No, they've I think they've diverted about, I think they said $60 million worth of computers, Sandy.
Yes,
over since they've been in business. So that's, if you translate that into actual machines, that's a lot of diversion out of the landfill. So it's pretty good. So if any of your organizations have equipment, or in your businesses that you belong in, it's that you're involved in, it's a good way to get rid of them.
Absolutely. All right, that's it.
Good. Thanks, Jill.
Just one thing, I'm going to piggyback on Charles' Circular Economy Month. So we did have a proclamation in Chambers on Tuesday. And as part of Circular Economy Month, here at City of St. John's, we're hosting free compost giveaways on Saturdays in October. So the compost was made from yard waste that was collected since 2018 and from the pumpkins from the Pumpkin Walk, which is great. So you can visit Robin Hood Bay Waste Management Facility on East White Hills every Saturday in October from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The compost giveaway is self-serve. Bring your own gloves, shovels, and buckets, and collect a maximum of 250 liters, which is approximately 12 5-gallon buckets per visit. And that's all for me.
Larry Vaders.
Good evening, Your Worship and fellow colleagues. Charles, you'll be happy to know that I just had a public works meeting just prior to this meeting where we actually discussed the diversification funding that you folks are offering. So I suspect, or hopefully we'll be able to get something into you for consideration. We also discussed, our green goal that we're having, of course, was to try to encourage more folks to recycle. And should note as well that both Deputy Mayor O'Leary and I just recently spent some time in Ottawa at the Federation of Canadian Municipalities for a regular meeting. A bunch of things discussed there, but one of the things I just wanted to note is that there are various pots of funding available through FCM for various pieces. on various items. So if there's any comments or questions that you might have about any of that, by all means, please reach out to us. And if we don't know the answers, I'm sure we can get you directed to the appropriate staff to get some answers to you. I'll just leave it there tonight, Your Worship.
Tom.
Well, kind of putting together this circular economy thing, I experienced firsthand at my cabin in Avondale when I put out a van load of old windows and an old crib. The people who go around, this is one of the negatives to us maybe collecting the garbage the way we're talking about doing it in the Trinity North area is within like 3 days, most of the windows are gone except for the ones that were cracked and the crib was gone. So there was that part of people reusing, which of course is the best are. So it's something to consider that sometimes when people with these bulk garbage pickups out, the residents go around and kind of repurpose a lot of the stuff. So I just want to throw that into the mix.
Sure. Rod. Nothing.
All good here, Your Worship.
Good. Steve Tessier.
No, I'm over in Twillingate, and I'm just going to phone the telecom people on Monday or Friday when I get back and say they need to upgrade their Wi-Fi in their systems over here.
I was out there in the summer, and when there's a lot of people out there in the summer, you can't even get out on a phone over there. It's crazy. Holly, do you have anything? Lynn?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I would like to thank the board for the opportunity to attend the Canadian Stewardship Conference in Toronto last week. I was there with Charles and one of his staff, along with our board chair. Christy was with us as well, our director of operations, and Councillor Gerard Tilley was there on behalf of the board as well. Our first time attending, and my first time attending this conference, I got to say it was an eye-opener. I understood that we were behind on extended producer responsibility programs, but even though other jurisdictions are much further ahead, I still think there's a lot of bugs to work out of the programs yet. That's what I got from the conference, and Charles is nodding. Albeit it's extremely interesting. There's a lot of innovative packaging and changes, I believe, that's going to come down over as we get better and better with these programs, and manufacturers get better with trying to reduce the packaging and single-use products. Anyway, thanks again for that opportunity, and I hope the information helps direct the board's programs over the next couple of years. On another note, before I clue off, I'd just like to thank Christy for putting together the Site Attendance Professional Development Day. I've got to say she did 90% of planning for sure. The day was extremely successful. These site attendants work for the board. Some of them have worked for the board in excess of 11 years, and they work 16 hours a week on these remote sites. And it was absolutely wonderful to pull them together in one room and to see how engaged and how much they care about what they do and believe in what the board is doing. That was a really eye-opening for me, and it was really, really pleasant to see. I think their comments were very valuable, and as Councillor or Deputy Mayor Delaney stated, the Strategy and Policy Committee will be looking at those for any future policy changes. Anyway, thank you very much, and have a great evening.
Christy, do you have anything?
I'll echo Lynn's thanks and say that it was invigorating, and some of the lingo becoming ambition rich. I'm no longer youthfully enthusiastic, apparently. So now I'm moving into my ambition rich era, which is nice. And also, for anyone who hasn't become aware, the EPRA program has expanded effective the 1st of October, and there's a multitude of new products that are available for recycle, and we accept them at a lot of our waste recovery facilities, our waste transfer station, and there are a lot of other locations to safely return your electronics.
Thank you very much. Craig.
Not much for me. Just to say that I might reach out to the FCM, the reps, to take them up on their offer for extra information on their funding programs.
Excellent. The meeting schedule. Oh, Lynn, yes.
Sorry, I want to apologize to Mayor Delaney. I believe I just referred to you as Deputy Mayor. It's Mayor Delaney. My apologies.
Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
See there, Raj, you got a demotion and a promotion in the space of 30 seconds. The meeting schedule is there, and as usual, Holly will be sending out the information on those in due course. That is our meeting. Motion to adjourn. Rod, second by Larry Vaders. All those in favor? Aye. Good night.
Good night, folks.
Good night,
Thanks.
everyone.
Hey, good job.
Mayor.